allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Consider the minutes of the meeting of April 17th, 2018, and special meeting April 25th, 2018. And I make a motion, we accept the minutes of the meeting of April 17th, 2018, special meeting of April 25th, 2018, as presented.
I'll second it.
Discussion. Brenda?
Commissioner Bell?
Aye.
Commissioner Hawks?
Aye.
Commissioner Nestle? Aye. Mayor Jones?
Aye. Discussion review appropriation ordinance P0420-18. Public forum, we've got Carla Mann. How are we doing, Carla?
I'm fine, how are you?
Wonderful.
Carla Mann, 319 North E Street, Herington. Okay, I've got a question on the nuisance buildings in the downtown area of Herington. People have asked us a lot, have any of these people, like Ross's Barber Shop, Larry Rand's property on Walnut and Main, Mini Mall, have any of those people been subpoenaed to the city of Herington City Court for cleaning up their properties?
They absolutely have.
Well, I was told that Kimball's had never been sued, never been it.
If you had attended any commission meeting this year, you would know better.
No, you guys could go behind closed doors, but they've never seen the city court.
We've had a public hearing ongoing on the mini mall for several months now. We've talked about it in this
And I also
session
have
several times.
my property that I've been complaining about to Scott. I've called him, I've been here before. 205 North 10th, here's pictures, you're gonna see pictures, if you ever bothered to look at that property, the guy has not cleaned up one single solitary thing. He's unloaded 4 truckloads in the last month and more at that property. He is not cleaning up anything. And I can't believe, I want you guys to see these pictures, if you haven't gone by there and look at this, because you would not believe what it looks like. Would you like to see these pictures?
Well, we probably already seen them.
Well, you didn't go there last time I was
Do you-
here.
Do you have anything else, Carla?
No.
Thank you, ma'am.
I think you guys have a lot of discrimination in this government.
Amen. Yes, I said that.
Additional agenda items.
Yeah, they want to look at the pictures.
Would like to add item 11A, Natasha Barnett. She hasn't got an idea to save the land bank without costing the city any money. That's what your email said.
Yeah,
Okay.
and yeah, the whole advisory board is what it said.
Anything else? Make a motion we approve the agenda with the addition of item 11A, Natasha Barnett for the land bank.
Second.
Discussion?
Do we need to go backwards on the land bank issue?
Well, the email said she had an idea to save land bank. Well, we don't want to get into it at that point. There is no land bank advisory board to discuss because it's been disbanded. So it would have to be going forward. We're not going to rehash old ideas, personal opinion. Don't have to add it. Any other discussion? Brenda?
Commissioner Bell?
Nope.
Commissioner Hawks? Commissioner Nestle? Aye. Mayor Jones?
Aye. Approval, consider approval of letter resignation of Commissioner Mark Hager.
I make a motion we consider the letter of resignation from Mark Hager.
Discussion?
Just don't know.
You could, but
I appreciate his service too.
absolutely.
Oh, he did show up from last quarter.
Just in
We
time.
appreciate it.
We were just debating if we all voted no, what happened next. We're
Are
gonna
you
ask Brad
staying?
with the further discussion. Brenda?
Commissioner Bell?
Aye.
Commissioner Hopps?
Aye.
Commissioner Nestle?
Aye.
Mayor Jones?
Aye. Consider appointment of commissioner to fill unexpired term to expire January 2019. For any of you who have not heard, we read at the last regular meeting, Mark's letter of resignation from the city commission. But in his letter of recommendation, he stated, "I would like to recommend Curtis Hartman to fill my term. In the election that I and Ms. Sousa were elected, Curtis was the next highest vote getter. Curtis is very knowledgeable about the community, very level-headed in both traits I think that are needed in this time of transition at the city." I have talked offline with Curtis. I think it's a solid choice, and I'm going to defer to Commissioner Hager's recommendation and make a motion that we appoint Curtis Hartman to fill the unexpired term for Mark Hager.
Second.
Discussion? Brenda?
Commissioner Bell?
Aye.
Commissioner Hopps?
Aye.
Commissioner Nestle? Aye. Mayor Jones?
Aye. Appointment of vice mayor to fill unexpired term.
And you need to swear him in first?
Yeah, absolutely. You get to start voting and stuff.
Hey, we at least are starting you out on a short meeting. Come on.
Yeah, isn't that nice of us? Yeah. Sit there. Okay, raise your right hand. Yep. You solemnly swear to support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Kansas, and faithfully discharge the duties of commission of
Have a seat.
Curtis, here's your phone.
Thank you, Brenda. Congratulations. Number 9, appointment of vice mayor to fill unexpired term.
I make a motion, we appoint Robin Bell as vice mayor.
Second. Discussion. Brenda?
Commissioner Hartman? Commissioner Bell?
Abstain.
Commissioner Hopps?
Aye.
Commissioner Nestle?
Aye.
Mayor Jones?
Aye. VFW, and I do not see them here. They're not back behind you, Mark, are they?
No.
Okay. Going on to number 11, Linda Herbal, Taco Stop. Evening, Linda.
Hi. I just wanted to let everyone know that we have scheduled June for the top roof to be done. And that, after that, we will take care of the inside. And that should take care of any problems with it. And if there's anything after that, shouldn't be. But the roof is the main problem, and in the meantime, I mean, if you have any questions, you can let me know. This is the first chance that I've had to get here and deal with any questions about it or anything, so
So you plan on June? You
June.
got a contractor that will be doing the work, or do
It
you?
will be Mike and his brother that will be doing it. His brother is working on his garage right now, putting it up, and by June it will be done. And then they will start on the top roof.
Anything else you want to add, Scott?
No, they've been keeping in touch with me at least every 2 weeks. So, that's the plan they informed me of the last time I talked to them.
Good?
Anything from anybody?
Thanks for the update. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Linda. 11A, Natasha Barnett.
Okay, I'll try to make this as quick as possible. 2 meetings ago, Brenda had asked the difference between advisory boards and regular boards. And the gathering that I had gotten from that was that regular boards were kind of just on their own type thing and they were kind of left alone. So that leads me to question exactly why the land bank was messed with to begin with. And why it was even dealt with in the first place. And when I went through Cora and Coma and I read through it, it basically said anything that was done in a meeting had to be changed at the time by amending an agenda. You guys never amended the agenda to dissolve it, first off. Secondly, I just signed for that letter and it was asking me for all the records for the land bank, which I had handed that night that you guys had done it, and you can hear me on the tape saying that that was all of the records. I had 2 checkbooks. I did go check with the bank as of Friday, and we still are signatures on a signature card. So I do not feel comfortable handing over the last 2 checkbooks when I am still a signature on the signature card with them. Next thing is, when I specifically tried to get my records back because it was not dissolved within the first week, I had notified everybody I had notified Brad and Brenda and Dave on the 23rd about my records. And I was denied the 23rd, and then I come in and tried to get them multiple times between then and when it got actually posted in the paper, which would make it legal. And I was denied every single time. Corin Coma says my records should have been back with me within 3 days. And when I specifically emailed you, Dave, and asked who advised you or Brenda to deny me my records on Friday, March 23rd, as they still belong to Land Bank and I was the one in charge of that, your specific answer to me was the decision of the land bank records was not made by Brenda or myself, but was a majority decision by the commission on what the commission felt was best interest of the city overall. And my question to you was, when did that happen? Because in Cora and Coma, it says you can't do that. Cora and Coma is pretty specific about that. It says any discussion of any business or affairs of the public body or agency cannot happen. Interaction can be involved between using go-betweens, which was what you had said happened. And it says basically the majority of one half of the membership when counting. And it says the only topic that may be discussed by a majority outside of a meeting is to be determined a mutual acceptable meeting time. So notice of the meeting may be provided. Any other discussion automatically triggers coma, and you guys are in violation. And it goes on and says basically any interaction collectively involved a majority of the public body or agency, a common topic is discussed concerning the business or affairs of the public body or agencies, and there is an intent by any or all of the participants to meet an agreement upon a topic that requires a binding action in open meetings. So you guys are also in violation there. It says you guys can speak as long as you refrain from discussion of any business of the public agency. And then it goes into I would like to know who the record custodian is in this place, because anytime I message Brenda, she doesn't message me back. I have asked multiple times, and I'm guessing probably 6 or 7 to at least, and I have emails to prove it, to view the records even in here, and nobody has said anything to me about being able to do that. And when it's viewed in here, you guys pretty much have 1 day for it. I'll give you the 3, which we're still in violation of. Let's see, what else? I think that's pretty much, and no binding decision may be made without it being an open meeting, which telling me I can't have my records and that it's a mutual agreement among all commissioners is kind of a binding action to me. So I would like to know how to handle some of this situation. I don't mind giving back the checkbooks, don't have a problem with that. But I don't like my name still being on the signature card. I did try to contact the bank immediately about getting my name off. We can't remove any of our names until it's switched over with the new signature card, period. That's all that has to happen. I've asked multiple times for records, still denied. Now, my idea for the land bank, or some form of it, I'm going to go talk to the housing authority at the next meeting and see if that's not something that maybe they would be interested in taking up with their HUD. They can make their own advisory boards on new homes, blighted homes, things like that, because they can do that. I've talked to Brenda already, so I'm going to go speak to her again. I know nobody likes these blighted homes in this town. I know that. And if it was through HUD, it wouldn't cost the taxpayers money because it would be HUD funded. I kind of would like your guys' input if you have any ideas on it, because in general, taxpayers don't want to be taking care of these homes. We can't afford it. But it's becoming a problem in this town. So if you have any ideas, I would gladly hear them so I can go to the housing authority with any extra ideas on how to handle some of this and not be funded by the taxpayers.
Thank you, ma'am.
Nothing? Nothing.
Any comments?
Well, at least you didn't get cut off. I thought you were just talking.
Didn't get it answered though.
Thank you, Natasha.
Yep.
Number 12, discussion on licenses, permits, fees with staff recommendations. How we doing, Scott?
Not bad. This all started back in December timeframe when I was approached by KBK because they had a concern to actually come into Herington and install HVAC equipment. You have to be a plumber in Herington to do it. And looking at the code, yes you do, which is kind of ridiculous. So I started doing some research, and under cities like Junction City, Manhattan, Salina, and yes, I know they're out of our realm as far as population, but they do have what you call, like Junction City's got a craft license. Manhattan is mechanical. Council Grove even has a mechanical license to install HVAC. So I started doing some more researching. It's a matter of just putting in your city ordinance that it's a mechanical license and there's a fee for inspection and a fee on how you want to deem they get the proper licensing, whether that be from a trade school or working so long under a contractor and they prove that. If you want them to keep up the certification, that's all up to you. That's why I've sent you different aspects of what other towns.
What they do in Council Grove to keep up the certification, or how they?
Council Grove, the only thing I could find on their site was just the permit.
Junction or anything? I mean,
A junction, they do have to work under a licensed contractor that is either a master or journeyman.
Which they get that
Through
through school or?
tech, or they can take the online version, or go to like the ICC school, and take the test and become master or journeyman. Manhattan, you have to, you get your certification through your tech school or your college, and then you have to maintain hours. I'm not saying we have to be that stringent, it's just something to look at. The other avenues I think we need to strongly pursue is upgrading our fees. Sad to say, when I left here in '97 doing this work, those fees haven't changed since 1997. One of the big aspects, I feel we're losing a lot of revenue. And yeah, it's great for the homeowner, but we don't charge for any shed or fence permits. There ought to be a minimum for that. A prime example, when I get a fence permit, with materials and everything, it takes me roughly an hour looking at the property online, making sure they meet the standards. And by the time I get out there, you're looking at, with materials and everything, an hour and a quarter later. So, and that's costing the city money because I don't charge them
Right, because there's no charge for a fence or
for the shed.
shed.
And hopefully you got it sent to you that, like the city of Burlington, minimum charge, and that is one of the towns pretty fairly comparable to us. It's a $10 charge for a shed or a fence or a wall. Doesn't
Right.
matter.
Just to recoup some of the expense of going through and reviewing that permit.
And a lot of the towns I did look at comparable to us, Fredonia, Sterling, Counts Grove, Cherryville, Seneca, Halstead. I mean, they all got code enforcement, and they do charge some fees.
I think a mechanic certification absolutely makes sense, and for the exact point that you've made. I'm also kind of curious about a handyman permitting process. I know we've been approached by a few people that would like to work in Herington on doing minor things. They're not doing new installations, they're doing a repair job. You go in and fix the drain on the sink, but you can't do that unless you're licensed as a plumber within the city, and it's maybe a little overboard. So I would like to see what we could do about maybe adding a handyman
Yeah.
license in there as well. But the mechanical definitely makes sense, and I think you're right, the fees need to be addressed. But I would still like to see, just me talking out loud, how we would compare fee structure-wise with comparable towns. What do you need from us at this point, Scott?
Really, the only thing we need, Brad to bring up something, we can look at the fee structure and everything. We can look at different towns, kind of be comparable. And it's a work in progress. It's not something that's gotta be done overnight. One thing I would like to see is at least bare minimum get this mechanic license going.
Now, what would you, if I'm understanding this, because right now you have to be a certified plumber to do HVAC work. We go to a mechanic license, then you're gonna have to have that license to do HVAC work. How does that affect businesses in town that are doing, well, people who are doing business in town right now under a plumber's license, that as soon as that ordinance passes, they can't do HVAC work anymore until they get a mechanical?
They would still, because they would still fall under the plumbers, so I don't think that would change,
Okay.
because that ordinance would still be there under the plumbing.
So this would just be for people who aren't doing plumbing as well, this would give them an option, whereas the plumbers they're still good.
And we can leave that part under the plumbing section.
We just want to make sure that there's not we don't inadvertently cause a problem for existing businesses because we passed this new license and now suddenly
They're not licensed to do work
they're
anymore.
not licensed to do work until they complete the requirements to get the new.
Yeah, I agree.
Anything else? I think it's a great idea. I think
Yeah.
add the mechanical and like I said, I would like to see a handyman license in there of some sort. That's probably going to require some more research.
Have you
What-
seen any out there? Handyman?
I think that would, like Junction City, it falls under that craft license.
Craftsman.
Yeah.
And obviously, there's going to be limitations on that as well, letting them know what you can and can't do and things like that.
And I think a lot of it's just what you spell out in your ordinance, what can be and what can be done.
Brad, what questions does the commission need to answer in order to get working on that?
I think you've answered them. What we'd start with is some type of an example from various sources with this in mind, and try to fulfill those needs. You can take a look at that and then amend it accordingly in terms of discussion.
Sounds good. Keep up the good work, Scott. I enjoy seeing the, well, I don't enjoy seeing, but I appreciate seeing the list of properties that you're tackling.
There's more coming, I just haven't got them on the list updated, so.
It's a very long list.
Joke.
Brad might not appreciate it. City manager comments.
I don't have any today.
Really?
Yeah, shocker, right?
I don't know what to think about that. All right, commissioner comments. We'll start with Commissioner Hartman.
Anything right
Commissioner Bell?
The trees, did you get hold of Vibe about the trees?
I did, they're supposed to be picking them up. So I know we helped pick up a few that did.
There's a big pile on Arnold and G, but they'll probably get to it.
Yeah, they said because there was a miscommunication. She said Arnold and Jim.
You can't hear.
On Arnold and G. Thank you for getting the scoreboard down. It was swinging, the old football field, it was swinging in the wind.
Really?
So Brenda got it down today. Appreciate that.
You took it down personally.
She went down, never mind.
She did put
We had some issues. I had people calling the trash service. They're having trouble getting a hold of them, to get the dumpster, because they only take certain stuff, so you have to pay extra to get. And I talked to Brenda today. Did you get a hold of them?
I did, they called the one lady, and I guess they had, the phones weren't ringing, but all of a sudden it goes, that it's fixed now, so
Even I tried to call, I couldn't get through, so maybe it's fixed now.
I got them today. Now, she's had some medical stuff,
Yeah.
so probably can stand that.
Okay. And car show, great hit. It was good for the community, and I thank everybody that was involved, and it was really good.
What was the total number of cars?
253.
Dave Durkee told me they parked over 400 and some
Over
cars.
400 cars, they parked out the drag races,
Yeah.
so they had good things out there.
Can't hear you.
Beautiful weather. I mean,
No tornadoes coming.
Yeah,
no
wants to
tornadoes,
talk
no
about it.
rain, no wind, but it is. So next year's probably gonna be a total disaster. It's gonna happen.
But it's good for your community, and thank you.
Thanks, Ronnie.
I would have mentioned the car show.
We can still mention cars.
Glad we have something like that in this town.
Absolutely.
Organization to put together. Great.
The only thing I had was thanks to everybody involved. It was fun.
I had a chance to sit down with their Lake Advisory Board yesterday. They are going to start having meetings again. Anybody who's interested, their next meeting will be May 21st at 6 p.m. out at the Legion. It's going to take them a little bit because they're trying to get their feet back underneath them as far as regular meetings and figuring out what they want to do, what they want, where they want to go from here, how they're going to make a difference. But we had a good discussion, probably about an hour and a half, about excuse me, past concerns and perceptions, and just kind of getting past that and moving forward to something that's productive and figuring out what they want that board to look like. So I would ask that if you're interested in getting involved in something, I'm sure that they would love to have more volunteers, more input, go to a meeting, tell them what you think, maybe help with a cleanup out at the lakes, I don't know, something, but get involved. So like I said, their next meeting will be May 21st at 6 p.m. out at the Legion. Second thing is looking ahead. 4th of July this year is on a Wednesday. Something we need to take a look at. Right now, our ordinance says that you're allowed to shoot off fireworks 3rd, 4th, and 5th from 8 a.m. till midnight. I don't think any of us want fireworks going off at midnight on a work night, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday night, and you're only allowed to possess fireworks in town from 1 to 5 July, which is Sunday through Friday. So, I don't know what the right answer is at this point, but we need to address it sooner rather than later so that people know what the policy is going to be for that week. There's a lot of different ways we could go with it, whether you want to try and do something on the weekend before, the weekend after. But at bare minimum, I think we need to adjust the hours of what's going on right now, maybe noon to 2200. Utilize either the weekend before, noon to midnight, so that way if you want to have a party at your house or shoot off fireworks, you can do it on a Friday or Saturday night where you're kind of minimizing the impact to your neighbors. But I don't think any of us wants that going on during the week. So if you would, please think about it between now and our next regular meeting. We'll put it on the agenda, please, Brenda. Bring your ideas, suggestions. We'll talk about game planning, what we would like to see for that week so that Brad's got time to get something put together. Then we got time to review it, make necessary changes, get it published, and well enough in advance so that everybody knows what's going on for that weekend. Yes. Scrambling is bad, unless you have to.
They can start selling it the 27th. I think
Can't hear.
Start selling.
That sounds right about it, off the top of my head.
I think so.
Has anybody heard about they doing fireworks out at the lake again this year? Anybody here from the fireworks committee?
Do you know who's on it for sure? Is Nelda on it this year?
I have no
I
idea.
have no idea.
I'll see if I can
I looked
find
on their
out.
Facebook page and there's
Nothing.
nothing.
I'll see if I can't find out for one of you guys. Don't know why, but
That's all I've got. State grounds or alibis?
I make a motion we adjourn.
Second.
wow.
Brenda?